Hi everyone, this is your host and your coach, Mary Ayers, and welcome to today's show because today we're going to be talking about something that really freezes people up. It literally paralyzes them. It keeps them from taking any action. It keeps them from exploring and taking a risk and trying something new. And that is our fear of making a mistake, our fear of not knowing how to do something and do it well, so that we aren't even willing to take even a little step. And I see this time and time again with clients, and that they are unwilling to even put themselves out there, even try something if they aren't sure of it. And you know where I really hear that is when it comes to tapping. I mean, we can hear it all kind of places, going out and meeting new people, or trying a dance class that you've never done before. But I really hear it sometimes, just even with the tapping. People will freeze up. They have this idea, really, because this is what it is. It's an idea that there is a right way to do it. And if we aren't sure 100% that we are doing it right, I find people tend to hesitate. They won't even give it a try. So we're going to talk about that today. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to think about something. It's something new, and when you think about it, you hesitate. You're not quite sure. You know that you've wanted to do it, but you haven't put yourself out there. And think about what the reason is. I know you might say, well, it would cost some money, or I don't have the time, but come on, let's take a look at these things and say, those are just excuses. What am I really afraid of? And am I afraid that I won't know how to do it, that I'll look ridiculous, that I'll embarrass myself, that I'll do it wrong, that I'll do it bad, that I'll make a mistake? Think about the idea of making a mistake, of not doing something well, and see what comes up for you. Now, I know when I've talked about this in the past, I've had a few people say, oh, well, you're a perfectionist. You have to do it right. And I think to myself, no, I'm not really a perfectionist. Sure, I'd like to do things well. I'm not going to deny that. I don't think most people want to do something poorly anyhow. But perfection doesn't really sit with me. I, for the most part, am willing to do something that isn't perfect. So it's not about perfectionism, although some of you might relate to the idea of having to do it perfect. I'm just talking about not making a mistake, not doing things well, allowing ourselves to be a learner, because that's really what we need to be, is a learner. I have this little saying that says you can learn anything in life if you're willing to be a beginner. And a lot of us, especially as we become adults, we really struggle with that because we don't like to feel incompetent. We don't like to feel new. When you're children, that happens a lot, right? Children know that they can't do things well and that everything is a learning experience. But somewhere in our life, we got the impression that we were supposed to know how to do things, or that we were supposed to be able to do them well from the beginning. So think about, where did you learn that it was scary to make a mistake, that it felt uncomfortable to try things out? I know that a lot of times we acquire things through childhood, not because we've had abusive or people who have meant to harm us, but face it, it's just a fact of growing up and learning. You might have been in school, 3rd or 4th grade, and you got called on and you didn't feel ready for it. You put out an answer and, you got embarrassed because everybody laughed at you because you had the wrong answer. Or, we've gotten in trouble before for doing things and not being able to do them well. Sometimes people were impatient with us, or we just felt stupid. We felt clumsy. We felt incapable. It's part of growing up, but nevertheless, as children, we took that in, held on to it, and then we made meaning out of it. And we might have made meaning like, I'm not very good at this, or you're supposed to be good and I'm not, or they were really good at it and I'm not, I'm kind of clumsy at it, or I had a sibling who was really athletic and it took me a while to get some things. Whatever it is we're holding ourselves up against, we started to make reasoning. We started to give ourselves understanding of the world and our place in it. And the point is that when we did that as a child, we were very limited in our resources and our way of explaining the world. And we carry that around with us now to the point where we would be humiliated or shamed to be able to make a mistake or to even try to do something without it being well done. and I see it get in the way, and we get pretty anxious. I see people have at work, new things are coming in, and they get so filled with anxiety just knowing some new task is coming up. And then, of course, they add meaning to it, like if I don't get this right or if I make a mistake, I'll get fired. And then that snowball just picks up speed, and next thing you know, then I would get fired, and then we would lose the house, and we would never be able to eat, and how would I ever face anything? My family would be ruined, and we'd lose everything. We can go pretty crazy pretty fast with some of this stuff, even around just this learning process of knowing that it's not going to be right. And I know I've talked to people before about the possibility of asking questions, asking for help, and again, that gets in our way, and we are afraid that somebody will think less of us. As a matter of fact, now that I say this, I think I'm going to have to do a show on asking people for help, right? We think we have to do it on our own. But for right now, we just don't want to show up as incompetent and not knowing. So think about something that you've been putting off. Think about something that doesn't feel comfortable. You feel that you should know how to do it. Maybe it's making a meal. Maybe it's doing your own taxes. It could be as simple as taking on a class or learning to paint a room. Give it some thought and think about how uncomfortable and why do you not want to do it? What gets in the way? And where have you had that experience before? Can you remember a time when you tried something and somebody made fun of you, or you tried something and it wasn't quite right and you got ridiculed for it, or it just plain felt uncomfortable? Or imagine yourself doing something and it's not quite great and you look at other people's faces. What's the look on their face? What might they say for you? Because a lot of what we are afraid of, we have made up in our minds. Sometimes it's from past experiences, and sometimes it's just because our mind has made such vivid pictures where we have felt so bad that we wouldn't want to try it. Those pictures are real to us, and our body knows the feeling, and so we won't even put ourselves out there. Find your something, and let's tap about it, okay? Let's move that feeling in our body. Scale it 0 to 10. How uncomfortable does it feel? I can't make a mistake. Say those words. I can't make a mistake. I can't be wrong. I'll get in trouble. Think about it, and let's do some tapping on the karate chop. Even though when I think of this thing, I don't feel very confident. I don't feel very competent. And I just can't do it unless I do it right. And even though that's just the way it is, I still accept myself. Even though I'm afraid of doing it wrong, I'm supposed to be able to do it right. I choose to love, accept, and forgive myself now. Even though I can't do this thing, because I wouldn't do it well, I don't know if I'm doing it right. And I don't want to feel foolish. I don't want to feel shame. I don't want to feel silly and embarrassed. I choose to allow myself the freedom to be a beginner. And I love and accept all of me now. At the eyebrow, I don't want to screw it up. Side of the eye, I'm not really confident about doing it. Under the eye, and I can't do it until I do it right. Under the nose, I'm supposed to know how to do it. Chin, even if I've never done it before. Collarbone, I can't take the risk. Underneath the arm, because I've done that before. Top of the head, and I felt so foolish. At the eyebrow, I was so embarrassed. Side of the eye, it was humiliating. Under the eye, I just wanted to hide. Under the nose, I don't like doing things. On the chin, unless I do them well. Collarbone, I hate being a beginner. Under the arm, I hate not knowing how. Top of the head, all this anxiety. Back at the eyebrow. All this anxiety about getting it right. Side of the eye. All this anxiety about making a mistake. Under the eye. All this anxiety about making a fool of myself. Under the nose. The anxiety about looking foolish. On the chin. And never getting another chance. Collarbone. I just can't do it. Under the arm. I won't do it. Top of the head. I'm not going to do anything new unless I can do it well. And that's just the way it is. Now take a breath. So yes, we're playing with it. We're going into that absolute refusal. We're talking about how embarrassing it would feel. Think about those other times. What came up for you? What memory showed itself? How old do you feel when you think about making a mistake and the trouble that you'll get into or the embarrassment? When were you embarrassed by a mistake or by not knowing? Go back and tap on that event. Remember, it's just a matter of thinking about it, talking about the event, and going through the points while you're tapping, visualizing, remembering that event as well as you can, as vividly as you can. How old were you? What were the circumstances? Cut yourself some slack, but at the same time, we want that event that was really recorded on your body to have a chance to be discharged. All right? We may have more than one, but just one at a time. And when you're ready, you're feeling a little bit better, maybe you've gone through a couple of events, we're going to come back and do another round, karate chop. Even though I have my apprehensions about trying something new, because what if I make a mistake? I've decided to be a learner. Even though I'm supposed to do it right, I have to get it right. I can't screw up. What if that's just a part of learning? And what if I can give myself permission to be a learner? Even though up till now, I've been afraid to try something new. I've been afraid to make a mistake. What if I'm over it? What if I can just give it a try? What if it could be fun? At the eyebrow, I still have some apprehensions about this. Side of the eye, I don't want to be a fool. Under the eye, and when I don't know how to do something, under the eye, and know that I can do it right, on the chin, then I haven't wanted to do it. On the collarbone, I don't want to try. Under the arm, and I have my reasons. Top of the head, in the past it was painful to learn. Back at the eyebrow, but what if that's the past? Side of the eye, and it's safe for me to be a beginner. Under the eye, it's safe for me to be a learner. Under the nose, I can learn new things at any age. On the chin, and so what if I make a mistake? Collarbone, so what if I don't do it completely right? Under the arm, who's the judge of completely right? Top of the head, what if I'm doing it right enough? Back at the eyebrow, what if right enough is okay? Side of the eye, I'm open to the idea of being a beginner. Under the eye, imagine all the new things I could learn. Under the nose, when I allow myself to be a beginner. On the chin, after all. Collarbone, what if I gave up when I was just a child? Under the arm, I'd never have learned to walk. Top of the head, or to run. At the eyebrow, or to skip. Side of the eye, I would have missed out on so many things. Under the eye, I'm so glad I was willing to be a beginner then. Under the nose. And I'm going to give myself permission on the chin to be a beginner again. On the collarbone, I allow myself to just have fun. Under the arm, to play. Top of the head, to be silly. Back at the eyebrow, nobody needs to know. Side of the eye, I'm just going to play. Under the eye, give myself some freedom. Under the nose, to be playful. On the chin, just like a child. On the collarbone, free and easy. Under the arm, forgiving of myself. Top of the head, for any mistakes I might make. Back at the eyebrow, that's so much freedom. Side of the eye, and I'm so proud of myself. Under the eye, for giving myself the chance. Under the nose, to learn something new. On the chin, to take baby steps. Collarbone, to celebrate what accomplishments I do achieve. Under the arm, to laugh and play. Top of the head, I love my new freedom. And take a breath. So this week, think about doing something without having to do it absolutely right. Chunk it out. What's a little piece of that thing that you could just play with? I remember when I did my very first website, all I did was take 5 minutes to play on the back end where you were just kind of checking out what all the buttons were about and whatnot. And I would push a button and play around and just see what would happen when I did this. Until I published it, it was just me playing. There was so much safety, and I got more and more comfortable with it. Or let's say you want to take a new exercise class or maybe a new dance class, and I know how that is. You go and other people know how to do it, and you're not so sure. What if you just put on some music and practice playing in your own home? Or how about one of those YouTubes that you could practice following along? You're only in your house. You're by yourself. Just giving yourself the permission to start, to play on some small level in a playful way where you don't have to shame yourself. There is no right, there is no wrong, there is no perfect. You're already doing it well enough. Well, I want to hear from you. I love hearing from you about what you've tried, how this has been helpful for you. I get so many emails with people just saying to me, I did try that little thing and it was fun, and I'm so glad that I did the tapping because it's giving me permission to engage in life in a very low-level anxiety way. I've got so much more freedom now when I tap and then I try something. It's so much freedom, and I really appreciate that. Email me, mary@tapintoaction.com. I always love hearing from you. And until next time, stay brilliant.